attention. Hello, everybody. Russ on the West Ham Network and Anton for the West Ham Network. Hope you're all safe and well. If you're in there, give a like, a comment, give it a share, give it a bloody good subscribe. Now, Europa League is back, baby.
European football, baby. We know what we are. We know what we are. Champions of Europe. We know what we are.
That was proper funny on Saturday when everyone in the stadium, home and away, sang it. That was so funny.
Yeah.
And everyone
laughed. And then they went 2-1 up, and then they sang it, and we went quiet.
Yeah, then we had all left because everyone was pissed off.
Oh, shit.
But, you could say we're back in the European second competition. Obviously playing BACKA TOPOLA tonight, 8 p.m, London Stadium. We'll have the lights. We'll have the light show. We'll have the fireworks. We'll have TJ Tony Perry. It's going to be, well, actually, it's not going to be as it's not going to be as rocking as usual by all accounts. With maybe 20,000 seats, still not sold.
Yeah. Do you know what? Again, listen, there's loads of reasons why people are and are not going.
Do you know what? Actually, I think, and this is a slight on how I think the tickets have been sold. Obviously, last 2 seasons they've done this sort of free game, package, which is great. If you get, if you end up getting drawn against, 3 or 2 or 1 sort of big club. Now, through the last 3 group stages now, probably Olympiacos is the biggest club we've been drawn against in the 3 groups. We don't get excited. I mean, look at Brighton. If we'd had a group like, and again, this is sort of in terms of tickets and progression, but if we had, Marseille, Ajax, and another side like Athens, like Brighton had got, we probably would have sold out if we're playing any of those sides.
Definitely. But I don't look at this like a bad thing to the way that other people do. 37,000 fans are still turning up on a Thursday night, the first game in the Europa League against a team that you haven't heard of. And I don't look at any other fan that can't make it. I bought the package with the aim that I would pass the ticket on to somebody else. I probably still can. But essentially I can't go because I need to manage my time when I come down. I can't just come every second week. I used to be able to pre-kids, but I've got 3 kids now and I've got a house and a mortgage and a wife and a family and I've got to chop and change and money comes into consideration. So everyone's circumstances are different. So anyone digging out anyone else over not going to the game, then I think they should shut the fuck up.
But what I'm saying is I think it's the fault of how the tickets have been sold. If they weren't sold as a package and say tomorrow or later on today is a kids for £1, then you probably get another 10, 15. I think
the club used to need to definitely use their noggin a little bit more now. Moving forward, this is our 3rd season in Europe in a row, might I add, but we're still not learning little lessons. Things like, well, how can we?
You're right. Yeah.
So, you look at the game against the Serbian side and you think, right, okay, we're maybe not going to fill it. Do you know what, Russ? They would have known very quickly the uptake on season ticket purchases. That this probably wasn't going to be anywhere near. So then they really should put a different message out. And maybe should have a game package rather than a 1 game pack, and just done this.
Then the trouble is, having sold the 3 game package, they have to then get the money, because people will go, well, actually, I'll cancel my ticket and rebook for £1. So it shot themselves in the foot, I think, to be honest. Themselves
in the foot with it, So I think that's down to the club. People are, you've got Lincoln coming up, so fans are going to go to that game. They're going to spend, they're going to travel. We've got Liverpool coming up, they're going to be traveling to Liverpool, all that sort of stuff. And we're playing 2 games a week now. Then we've got an international break, then it's 2 games a week coming up to Christmas. It's just non-stop and relentless, and we know that because of the amount of content we put out for you guys, plus the games we're going to try to go to. So it's just what it is what it is.
It is. But as you said, it is the start of our 3rd European competition campaign in a row. The first time in history we've done this, and obviously we go in top seeds because having won the Europa Conference League last year, which they are rebranding the Conference League this year, I believe. So they're taking out the Europa bit to make it easier for you to say, because it is a bit of a mouthful.
But again, just going back to being in the competition for the 3rd season in a row, talking to people that aren't West Ham fans, talking to a neutral fan like I was last night at Freddie's judo club, and they were saying to me, "Oh, West Ham are starting the European campaign again this year," and I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "Listen, it's the first time we've had it 3 years in a row," and he was like, "Really?" I was like, "Yes." So people are standing up and paying attention to West Ham now when we've been doing it our whole lives, and it's nice to hear the neutral fan talking about it. But it goes back to the situation. Us, we didn't really know what coefficiency score was up until really till 2 years ago, because it never really made a difference, really, even in the 3 years ago when the season started. Anyway, we're here, we're back, we're here as European champions, and we're here on a bit of a decent European run.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are definitely. Obviously, we go into start this evening playing TSC, who are, as we know, top of the Serbian Super League, undefeated in 7 games. I think 6 wins and 1 draw. They won 6-3 at the weekend. 5 different goal scorers. I don't think this is going to be the walk in the park we think it's going to be, because regardless of the sort of the strength of the Serbian league, when people win, it breeds a different type of confidence, and they're going into playing on a massive stadium. Their ground is 4,500. They go into a 60,000 stadium. They're going to have loads of pro away fans as well, because there's a lot of Serbian people living in London and around the areas who will be coming in and probably watching a Serbian team turn up, regardless of whether their team or not. So they're going to come with their tails up, and they're coming for a jolly as well. They're going to come and have a go, innit?
Yeah, with all due respect to them, on paper, if you had to weigh it all up in paper, then we all know where paper would put this as. But again, as much as we're getting a little bit of recent success winning the European trophy, we are still West Ham, and there's always the fear of West Ham just coming back to bite us in the arse. And this game tonight has that potential. Of course it does. Every game we play has that potential. I think, again, I feel more confident under David Moyes to manage the situation better than what previous managers have done in our life, where we've respected the opposition too much, or we felt sorry for the opposition too much. Again, I think back to the Man City game, and I think, well, the first half week, I felt like we gave it a right good go. And just, the dynamics of football changed, and that's how we lost the game against Man City. But I feel like if we do anything remotely close to what we did in the first half against Man City, we're going to make it really tough for the Serbian team to get a chance. I feel like we're going to see changes. We're going to see a little bit something new with the players that are going to be featuring. And that excites me, because we're going to now see what other players are capable of, and what is there a different style of football? And we'll obviously get into it when we choose the starting 11, but it's kind of exciting. You've got to respect the opposition wherever they come from. It doesn't matter who they are. The bigger they come, the harder they fall, but you've got to play what's in front of you. And if we didn't do that in the Europa League the first year we were in it, and the Europa Conference League the second year we were in it, in particular then we would have faltered at the first hurdle. We played Viborg, and nobody really knew what was going on in Viborg. Exactly. But we had to turn up and do a job. And then you can name the teams Larnaca as you go through them, and there's teams there you're like, really, who are they? What? Until you start to get familiarized yourself. So you can only play with what's in front of you. So set up that way, and I feel like David Moyes does set up that way.
Yeah, and I think actually tonight's game is even more important, because obviously we then travel away to Freiburg, where there won't be any away fans, and Freiburg, I think, they're going to be our toughest opponents. I think, I really do. They were sort of the golden child of the Bundesliga last year, and with their ground rocking and no away fans as well. If we've already got 3 points in the bag from the Serbia game, then it puts us in a better stead than 100%. If we go in with 1 point or no points. For me, it's the last 2 European campaigns have highlighted it is critical to win the group. Critical, 100%. because you miss the people, particularly in Europa League, you miss the big boys, so to speak, who have dropped in from the Champions League in the playoffs, and it's that sort of playoff, that final 16, you get that second tie at home. And that is critical, as we know with the Sevilla game last Europa League. That was critical. I mean, the fact is, we've already earned, for our participation already, we've earned, I think Sean said, 3 million quid already without kicking a ball, in terms of the group stages, in terms of the games we get already. Last time we were in the Europa League, I think we earned about 40 million quid. So, obviously we got to the semi-finals, but still, all the tickets and stuff like that, if we win tonight, another £500,000 in the coffers. I think a draw is about 180 million, plus probably about 1.5, 1.6 million in gate receipts as well. So, it's a huge thing being in Europe again financially for us.
Yeah, massive.
And obviously, the further you get, the better.
That's what you sign up for, isn't it? That's what you've got to do, and it's a financial thing, and that's what brings in in theory the better quality player, and the incentives there to stay in this competition and keep fighting to do it. If we could, imagine we qualified 4 years in a row, like it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I was talking tonight to even like a neutral fan and just saying to him that people forget that we were only a couple of points or one win away from qualifying for the Champions League a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah.
So we're considering the money we've spent in comparison to Man City, say, like we're doing all right.
Yeah, we're punching well above our weight. We really are, I think. And as we do, an hour or so, an hour and a half before the teams are announced, we try and put our 11s together, and that's the whole point of the show. 11 minutes into it. Now, obviously, it's going to be interesting. I think the team selection. Pretty much. I mean, if we look at last year as probably the typical, because obviously we've got a similar squad size than what we had last year. The season before in the Europa League, we had a smaller squad, and there was a lot of play, not so much chopping and changing, a few players in, a few players out. But last year there was, and as you know, I love a stat. So in terms of, let me take off the things you can see in terms of the difference from the previous games Premier League 11. You can see, so last year I can't remember who I think it might have been Chelsea actually. We played, and then from the Chelsea game to the first group stage game in the Europa Conference League, there was only 4 players who were in both the starting lineups of both. 5 players, 3 players, 2 players, and it obviously went to 0 when we played FCSB because we played all the kids. So you can see, that I imagine that trajectory will continue, and we'll see almost, the side that plays against Liverpool will not be very reminiscent of the side who turns out tonight, will it?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, yeah. I mean, listen, I don't think it's going to go to the high percentage, but I still think there's going to be some regular names in the team. So, I mean, while we're at it, let's get to it.
Let's get to it. Let's just sort this out. So we'll put a little fun little thing together. Let's see if we can do it without it. No, there we go. There we go. There we go. Fancy, Dan. Right. Obviously, we had David Moyes' press conference yesterday, which Holly covered as well with Tommy Soucek as well.
Yep, he said Joseph Anang is going to start the game, isn't it?
And he said that Nathan Trott is coming back on loan. He said that Fabianski's starting. So let's just
as expected, and
as expected.
This is what we all wanted last year. Was this switch to be made? Can't say anything really at fault for Ariel. I think he's been fucking phenomenal in goal for West Ham so far this season. And this is good for Fabianski to go and get the run out that he needs, and he'll get loads of games now, Russ, between now and Christmas. He's going to get easily, guaranteed 7, 8 possible games if you include the FA Cup, the League Cup, the 6 Europa League games, depending on how he plays. So there's games there to be played. So fair play.
Exactly.
Good decision.
He's in between the sticks. Now, if we assume, let's assume a sort of a 4-2-3-1 type formation like we tend to do, without the needing to put, Paqueta left wing. If we go, let's go the back 4. Obviously, we had a back 4 against Man City of Emerson, Agad, Zuma, and Soufal. I imagine it's going to be completely different today. I'll be honest. Who's going to be your left back slot?
I mean, I think Emerson's been playing well, but I don't think he plays this game. I think when he is vital to what's the current situation going on down that left-hand side, I think there's only really one player you can put in there, and he's come back from the midst of nowhere to now be sitting on the bench for West Ham, and that's Creswell. I don't know if you agree with me on that.
No, I agree. I think Creswell comes in and slots in at the left-hand side. It's not a game which I think we'd bring in someone like Ollie Scarles yet. We tend to use that when there's I don't know the expression dead rubber, but when there's not a lot of pressure on the lad in terms of bringing him in. I think Cress comes in. He can finally put to bed that Europa League travesty in the semi-final against Eintracht Frankfurt. And I mean, he comes in. I think it's quite an easy one. I think. Let's go right back. Let's mix it up. Who's going to be right back?
This is a really interesting one because I love Vladimir Coufal and I think he's still going to be a great player for West Ham. I do think he was at fault. I do think he was backing away. I remember saying to the guy beside me, I was like, our issue is Doku, and our issue is the fact that Coufal was backing off all the time. And he did that earlier last season until he turned the season around again. So I feel like that position is definitely up for grabs, if I'm being honest, and a player can turn up and do a job. So if you're talking about, I think there's two players in contention. You've got, you could say, or you can correct me if I'm wrong, Thilo Kehrer, Ben Johnson, both are training, both are fit, but then there could be a case that Thilo Kehrer could come in the centre half position as well. So I don't know. I'm up for negotiation on this one, if I'm being honest.
I don't think Ben Johnson gets anywhere near the side at the moment. I don't think we need him. In all honesty, I think Thilo Kehrer plays right back. My only justification of that is against Man City, Thilo Kehrer came on for Coufal. And we'll probably go when we look at what worries me slightly about this European side is our left-hand side a little bit in terms of defensively, but we'll come to that in a minute. But I think Thilo Kehrer comes in because I think you've got you've got a bit of a speed demon down there, and I don't think he's there to cover centre half if we need it. But at the moment we've still got 4 good centre halves. Recognised centre halves. So I think he goes in at right back and Cress on the left back slot. Who is your first centre half then?
Well, listen, I think you've got your current pairing of Zouma and Agerd, and I think Agerd's coming in for, I think, unfair criticism from a lot of the fans. I don't doubt for a second that he's been at fault a couple of times. Listen, the flight of that ball. The flight of that ball was just actually pin perfect. Over the top of Agerd. Agerd jumped at an astronomical height. If Agerd had jumped at that height and scored a header, we would all be talking about the height that Agerd jumped. So it was just Man City that we were playing. Do I think he's got a little bit of a thing in him? Yeah, I do, but I don't. I think that can. I think we have to remember Russ. He's still not played a full year at West Ham. He's still not had a full season. He only came back in from a really bad injury at the end of the World Cup, and he didn't even feature straight away for West Ham. But what I've saw is enough for me not to turn around. And I've seen something tonight saying that the Athletic are saying that David Moyes is considering dropping him. Every player's up for being dropped if they're not having a good run of games. So it's not just a Gerd from the situation. I don't doubt Gerd's not getting dropped for Liverpool, so people need to get that one gone. He's playing against Liverpool. So the only thing I can see here is I think they're going to see the debut of Mavropanos, and I think that'll be great to see. I think that'll be nice to see. So I put him in the mix. I'm going to say Ogbonna, but I think I'm going to say Ogbonna, but I think that's up for question. And I think the only reason I'm saying it's up for question is I could see a Gerd going in.
Maybe.
That's not to do with the fact that he's not going to play against Liverpool, but Moyes has got a history of throwing one kind of current team member, and you wouldn't put Zouma there because you protect Zouma.
Yeah, I mean, you saw. When I did those stats, it tended to be Coufal was tended to be sort of a guy who would be on double duty sometimes. But I think that's because we initially didn't have, particularly the group stages. Thilo Kehrer was, I think he was sort of covering, and he was, he was playing a lot of centre. He was playing a lot of centre halves, centre half games in the Premier League because of the Gerd's injury. And so, there's always. There's going to be one or two players who are going to do double duty. Double dipping, never double dip. So I think at the moment, on paper, so to speak, Ogbonna and Cresswell, two very good professionals, but two fucking slow professionals.
Yes,
do you know what I mean? So that's why I can see what you mean.
I think that's where my only slight concern is. Look at that right hand side. Look at that left hand side. Yeah, we've not seen Mavropanos, but we are talking about that's just the only bit that's open for question. But essentially, I think as a percentage, there's a higher chance that Opora starts over again.
I agree. And when people go, Mavropanos can come in and replace again against Liverpool. No, he can't because he's not a left-sided player. And for me, it's critical you put players who are in the right, dominant foot. We know that.
But what's interesting about Mavropanos is if he can show what he's capable of doing, and we wouldn't have signed him if we didn't think there was a definite ability there. Bringing him into the team, if he plays well and does what he can do, means we can change something back there. I.e., we could, if we really wanted to, consider doing the back three that many people do or do not want. So we've got options. We just need to see him. He needs to play. We need to get his first game under his belt.
And he will do.
And see what he's going to do.
He will do. The club have been punting out pictures of him in training, so he will do. Okay, so we'll go that back four and the goalkeeper. Right, let's go. Let's go for the sort of the two holding-y midfielders.
Now, I feel like can we go left? Can we go to the left?
Okay, go to the left then.
Actually, no. Can we go to? Well, I don't fucking know where to go. Actually, hold on a minute, because I'm looking at. I've actually had to pull the squad up because there are players like. So let's be like we're gonna see players like Pablo Fornals. Pablo Fornals is going to play.
Okay, so where's Pablo going to play?
But this is the question because I need to try and build the team around him, and I need to try and understand who's actually going to fucking play. Excuse my French. I think you're going to see Pablo. Let's just put him in the middle just now because I need to. Unless you've got any other reason.
No, I think you will play in the middle.
Put him in the middle, yeah. And I'm going to say it's going to be Souček.
I think it's going to be Tomáš Souček because he was, again, what tends to happen is, obviously, we know for the press conferences, they have a player and it tends to be a player who ends up playing.
Yes.
And also, what was quite interesting was one of the questions he was asked was about being a leader. So I won't be surprised if you end up Tomáš Souček being skipped captain tomorrow. Yeah. Could be Ogbonna, but I don't think he will be. I think it'll be Tomáš Souček. Yeah, I think that's right, and I think that's and we know that obviously Edson is suspended, so he was training today, and he was training yesterday as well, so he'll be available. He should be okay for the Liverpool game. I think JWP gets a little bit of a rest. I imagine he'll be coming, be on the bench, but I think we've got enough there for him to, keep him fresh for Liverpool. Okay,
who are you talking about?
JWP.
All right, I thought you said Edson because he's suspended, but I heard you say that. Sorry.
Yeah, Bedson's a bit. Yeah, but he'll be fit as well. So they're both coming back to the Liverpool game.
I think on the left-hand side, it's interesting because it depends on you've got three players that can play here.
Yeah.
In actual fact, the next three players I'm going to mention possibly could start. And that is Max Cornet, Kudus, and Benrahma.
Yeah.
And that's a very exciting forward three.
It could be, yeah. It could be if they're all, taking Kudus aside, if Benrahma and Cornet turn up, it could be very interesting. I mean, I've no doubt Kudus is going to be an absolute superstar for us.
Yeah, because I think he needs to play though.
Oh, he will play.
He needs to start this game. Yeah. Kudus needs to start this game and needs to play and needs to familiarise himself with just playing for West Ham. I think Max Cornet, there's been a hint a lot about being the kind of second, like the guy in behind the striker, and he's played in that position before as well. So that's open up for a question. You could do you put, you're talking about Kudus and Benrahma playing out on the left, and Cornet can play left or right and up front.
Well, I mean, basically, in terms of how I'm just thinking in terms of how Mo came on. Obviously, he came on and ended up playing on the right hand side, and Bowen went up front, and then it didn't really work out because Bowen's not a striker, in my opinion. So then they brought Danny Ings on. I think what happens is actually Bowen has a night off. I think it goes that one, and they interchange.
Yeah, I agree.
And these three interchange. So there'll be we know Cornet can play on the right as well. So it's not saying actually that Cornet that Kudus could play for the middle as well. So actually that's quite an exciting there's a fluid. For a European game, that's a fluid three. And again, if we get Maxwell Cornet that's played for Burnley rather than Maxwell Cornet that played for West Ham last year, and Benny has been his bonnet and wants to show what he can do, and obviously Kudus will want to show what he can do, and he had a little cameo obviously against Man City, and seemed to be obviously direct. He wants to bring the ball forward. Then I think you've got, and I'll tell you what, if Kudus stayed on the right hand side, Kudus and Tilo Kehrer is probably one of the quickest two you could possibly fucking get, in terms of
and that's what's interesting, Russ, because they're the two players, in my opinion, that can break that starting 11 next on Sunday.
Yes, you're right.
They're the two particular players that could if particularly if Tilo Kehrer has a really good game.
Yeah,
I think Kudus starts against Liverpool, and I know we're talking about that again. But I think if Tilo Kehrer has a really good game, then there's a strong possibility. But whether or not Moyes will cut Soufal like that, who knows? But this is a good chance for them to prove their worth. Not Kudus, you know what I mean, though. But see if there's built up a bit of a partnership. You look down that left hand side, you see Creswell. You look down the right hand side, you see Tilo Kehrer. But then the creativity going up front is really good. And it's nice to see Cornet as well. I don't want to be saying it's nice to see Cornet. I want to be saying I believe in Cornet. And if I think about last season's start of the season form, if we get 3/4 of that, then I'll be happy.
Yeah.
So it's an exciting forward line. And Pablo as well is exciting.
It is. I mean, if you take, again, it's up to... I mean, as you said, I think something like Pablo. The trouble is, I don't. This is going to be what he's going to be doing this year, and he's not going to break that Alvarez, JWP, Paqueta 3. If, as I said, he even squeezes Souček in. He loves Souček so much he'll put Paqueta on the left wing. So I do feel sorry for Pabs, but this is the type of game that again. It's all about asking questions, in terms of maybe being the first sub or being, in terms of the Premier League side. As I said, he still played 50 games last season. Actually, going through the side last season when I was doing the Premier League, he was playing a lot of the Premier League games, really. Yeah. So, it was only sort of towards the end he started to play, when the likes of Paqueta started to hit the ground running, that he played the Europa games, conference games with Lanzini in the middle. Now, up front, obviously, there's no way Antonio's getting anywhere near this side, I think, with Liverpool on the weekend.
So this is interesting. I think it'll be Danny Ings. I think simply it'll be Danny Ings. Yeah, but I do think we'll see some changes in the second half, depending on the result. Actually, if we're struggling, I do think Mubama will come on. I think he'll get a bit of a run out. Yeah. If we're struggling or not struggling, I think we'll see Mubama somewhere. I think if we're struggling or not struggling, I think we'll see Bowen get a run out, because David Moyes consistently says the boy needs to play. He said it last season. If you remember one of his press conferences, he said, they kept saying, like, why do you play Bowen? He says he's one of those players that needs to play. He plays week in and week out. So I'm not saying he'll start, but I do think we'll see a little cameo. He done it a lot last season. He brought some of the big boys on very early day.
Thinking about it, in terms of the conference side last year, Bowen quite often than not, Bowen was almost playing as the second striker, because you had Scamacca and usually Bowen, and actually Bowen was more pushing up front, and Scamacca was almost dropping back into the 10 role. And so, it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if this happened and we started like that. Wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me, because, as you said, Bowie's one of those guys who does tend to get more starts than gets a rest.
Yeah. I agree. I wouldn't surprise me. I think it will be the way you said. I think it's the way, the original way. Because I think players like it's an opportunity for players now to come in and show us what they're capable of doing. So having Max Cornet is another option. That's exciting. That should be exciting for West Ham. It should be exciting for West Ham to see what he's capable of doing. I don't think we can give up hope on him yet. Well, do you know what? We can't, because we've got another 3 months of him, worst case scenario. So he's got 3 months now to show is he capable of doing a job at West Ham.
Then he fucks off the AFCON anyway. So, you know.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, come the AFCON, that midfield three is that sort of forward three is gone. So you know, the likes of Fornals will need to be there, and the likes of, you know, or Bowen will be there, and Barmer, and you know, and even fucking, I'd even throw Emerson up there. You know what I mean? And play Crest, because I mean, Emerson, after that Man City game, he was playing as a fucking forward, weren't he? Really running in the box. So I wouldn't mind just a bit of defensive security on the left hand side there with him there. But I mean, that's, you know, I mean, again, we don't know a lot about the Serbian side, I'll be honest, but you know, on paper, that should be more enough to get a result. More than enough with 100%. Everyone else on the bench.
100%.
Well.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we should be looking at that team and thinking, great opportunity for players to prove what they're capable of doing, stepping up to the occasion. Nice to see Kudos starting from the start, Mavropanos starting, Cornet starting. It's an exciting forward trio. Can't rule out Danny Ings yet. Like, we need to calm down with the old Danny Ings thing. Like, I know it's just what it is. At least his hair's growing through a bit better now.
It's just the form. It's just you know, we know he's a good player. It's just, again, I was talking to Doug out yesterday, and we were talking about Skamaka and Haller, and again, it's one of those things, you know, round pegs in square holes, and you know, the fact is, Danny Ings is not a man who can hold the front line himself, but if you play him as a two, you know, if you pushed Kudus up a little bit, maybe as well, you know, and go, you know, because you could easily do that and go 4-4-2. You know, just a little bit more support, then you'll see a different Danny Ings. You know, if anywhere in the 6-yard box, if you've got the ball there, 9 times out of 10 he'll be there to put it in. He knows, you know, it's not, you know, you don't play for England and be shit. You don't play for Liverpool and be, you know, he's you know, he's just doesn't work in the formation with us at the moment. And it's a different type of game. Different personnel, but you still need that. As I said, even like all the new boys, you still need people like Souček. You still need people like Ogbonna, Fabianski, guys who have been around for a long time, been around West Ham, you know, for many years as well, in terms of Oggy and Cress. It's just, you do need that continuity there in terms of just being that sort of calming influence. That's what we were talking about with, you know, he was talking about Liverpool, and I said, yeah, you've lost, you know, Milner, and you've lost Henderson, and you know, it's when the chips are down, that's when the experience comes through. You can have all the youngsters in the world, even Brighton, they go out and fucking buy Milner, and they get Lallana, and they've still got Lewis Dunk, and you still need that sort of a little bit announced, a little bit of experience. But with our third year there now, we know how to play in Europe now.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
we know how to play. And speaking to Martin, he said he was speaking to someone, a Serbian diplomat who knows the side very well, and he says they're treating this as a jolly. They're having a go.
Yeah, they're gonna. Of course, they are. They're gonna come in and you know, it's an opportunity to equally, and again, with respect, put themselves in the shopping window if they want to, put Serbia on the map, put their team on the map, and they're not going to come in and sit back. You don't ever see teams like this come in and sit back, but that's dangerous for them as well, because if we are to follow the rules of the Premier League and be the elite league that they are, that's dangerous for an opposition team to do, because they'll commit bodies forward, and we can be lethal on our counter, especially with that forward line. So it's a good game for that. If they leave their back line open and we can utilize our players there, then that's a great opportunity for them to build on a bit of momentum. Yes, is it a potential banana skin for West Ham? Yeah, but that's every game really for West Ham, because we are West Ham, but we are also massive and we're the European champions. So
indeed, Europe, that's what we are. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about the starting 11? Put it in your put the comments below in terms of who you think is going to start, and we'll find out in an hour or so's time anyway. So it's but hopefully, I think we've done all right. I think we're quite close.
I think we have as well, mate. Yeah, quite like it. And
maybe one or two out, because we always are one or two out. Very rarely do we get 100%.
Yeah,
but I reckon we've done all right.
Oh no.
Anyway, guys, thank you very, very much for your time, as per usual. If you are new around here, where the hell have you been? But thanks for joining us. And don't forget, as Anton's not playing a little piano, he's telling you to subscribe. Just one note, Anton. And don't forget to hit the bell notification anytime we're on, watch long previews, opposition fans. Obviously, we've got this sort of big run of games now, so we've got lots of different opposition fans. We've also got ex-Hammer interviews this week as well. That'll be out tomorrow night, probably. So keep an eye on that. But the only way you can make sure you don't miss anything is by hitting the bell notification.
Absolutely.
And we'll be bringing you the ratings tomorrow on Friday's show. We've got the press conference as well for.
It's all coming your way.
All coming your way, guys. And anyway, so I hope you enjoy the game, everybody. Don't forget to check us out for the watch longs or that type of thing. And we'll be back very, very soon, shorter than later. Take care.
We know what we are. We know what we are. Champions of Europe.
We know what we are. Irons.